So, with the first update of this particular segment, it's about the second interreligious dialogue table, which was held at the government house, and that is about the whole interfaith interfaith movement and the meetings there of them. And this one is concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses who are in attendance. And guess what? What actually happened? And shout out to firstly Jason Zelda, who is a regular Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses examiner and someone who's always exposing them, and he stays on them like constantly. So this is where I got this, and I got this as a leak, and I just have to shout him out, even though, of course, this information is free to spread and everything. I did not feel right about just running with it without mentioning him because he's been a plug. And one thing that I need to say about this, that he's pretty much just made the whole connection, is the fact that what the Jehovah's Witnesses have done, and the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses in particular, is that they've held these sacred interfaith meetings in other languages just to get it away from their main followers who are from English-speaking countries. Like, for example, that they are based out in New York in America, which is an English-speaking country or part of the Commonwealth, the sort of thing. I don't know if they were part of the Commonwealth, but anyway, I think they're kind of loosely considered part of the Commonwealth and former British colonies. So they have done in this particular regard is that they met, and I should actually get the whole article out just in a second, that they actually met in one of the Latin American countries. So it was a Spanish-speaking sort of affair, and then they sent one of their representatives from the Watchtower Society to engage in this topic. And what it was actually about, just to cut a long story short, they were speaking about Christmas celebrations. Now, if you recall that when I spoke about this, and I actually had pretty much had it on the whole prophecy that the Watchtower Society, or the governing body, was going to start introducing it through their literature, that they're going to convert into Catholicism. Now, the interesting thing here is that, of course, this meeting, and I'm going to read it out for people who are just not aware as to what's been going on with this interreligious stuff and everything. And what they actually did was the fact that they spoke about the whole celebrating of Christmas, getting everybody into it and getting into the spirit of this. So let me just give you the details so I don't miss out anything for you guys, and I'll just read it verbatim. Now, this article, like I explained, is actually in Spanish, so I can make it out because I've been studying Portuguese a little bit. So, of course, I could make out some things without, butchering it too much, and I got the whole gist of it. But I did, of course, for the sake of my viewers and this English-speaking community that I do speak to with and engage with, I've translated it, or I had Google translate it. I'm not that good. Trust me, my Portuguese is nowhere near that good that I can even translate Spanish, please. And in this regard, I'm just going to read it out so that people actually just hear the whole detail. So it reads, the second interreligious dialogue table was held at the Government House. This morning, the second interreligious dialogue roundtable, organized by the Provincial Secretariat of Worship, was held in the Gregorius Hall of the Government House. The meeting was chaired by the head of department, Monica Pereira, and included the participation of representatives from various religious communities in Rio Gallegos. So, yeah, that's just the introductory bit. And then this is where it reads on to say, members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Baha'i community, the Catholic Church, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Argentinian Pentecostal Methodist Church, Open Heaven, the Universal Church, and Jehovah's Witnesses, among others, participated. During the meeting, various topics related to planning joint activities for the Christmas holidays were discussed. Actually, the meeting was going to be held every 2 months, but we agreed that when an important issue arose, we would convene again. Pereira explained to the Undersecretary of Production and Content, adding, and one of the proposals was precisely to work on something together to close out the year. Along these lines, the official emphasized the importance of strengthening dialogue and unity among different faiths. We are living in difficult times with much political conflict, but we're here to cover them with a mantle of piety to bring people a little faith and hope through working together, she said. Pereira announced that the activities planned for December will focus on the value of family and the Christmas spirit, while each state has its own tenets, which we all share a special spirit during this time. Christmas implies unity, and we want to focus on family and how to live this holiday based on the fundamental value, he noted. The secretary also recalled that last year, as part of the celebrations, the Secretariat of Worship promoted a pre-Christmas calendar with messages of peace and hope from the various religious communities. It was the Secretariat's first year, and we made videos, reels, and Zoom broadcasts with messages from the churches. This year we want to expand that offering, she said, although she preferred not to provide further details until they are formally presented to the participating institutions. Among those who were attending were Father Christian Desbu, representing the Catholic Church, Sylvia Bustos, representing the Baha'i community, and Pastors Milano and Falbo, representing the Pastors Confraternity of Rio Gallegos. So the source says, Secretariat of State for Public Communication and Media under Secretariat of Production and Content. So that is the whole article, just translated in English by Google. Thank you so much for everyone who just listened out to that. I don't really like reading so much and to bore people in all this explicit detail, but I don't want to come across as seeming like I actually was fetching information and then just posted it, as far as without any sort of links or any sort of credibility or any real sourcing behind it. But I just wanted to show you that this is real, that this prophecy is coming, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, as you have read from among the attendees, were actually present in that meeting. So if you remember what I spoke about, that the article that was going to be introduced was going to be the worship of Mother Mary, and meaning that the whole Catholicism and transitioning to the Catholicism will be leaked. Now, I also stated that effectively that there's so many people from the Watchtower or the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be walking out at that point, and it's going to be like the 75, whatever, when they bled so many members, that they're no longer that bigger sort of a cult, or they don't even want to call themselves a church, but they're not pretty much a religious sect in that sense, and they're going to be quite insignificant, and effectively because they're actually selling off their kingdom halls anyway, they'll pretty much be dissolved and it'll just be dead. Now I have other sort of another particular significant development, which I spoke about, the angel of death being brought in because of the whole desecration of the Passover that they were doing as far as their memorial. And they've pretty much converted the memorial to become the night of Purim. So in other words, the night of Purim will be replacing the Passover as a memorial or celebration. And like I explained, I think in their twisted thinking and theology is that they wanted to make the Purim a confusion for the worship of Mother Mary and the reverence of Mother Mary, because that was the actual holiday that saw Queen Esther actually having to speak on behalf of the Israeli people during the time, and it was in front of the king. I think that was King Darius the Mede at the time. So that's what actually it was supposed to signify, but they pretty much warped teachings and are trying to transition their members to start turning to that. And in the event, they've actually now desecrated the spirit of the Passover, which is what offended God, and hence why this angel is going to be sent in. So this is going to take place in the year 2027. So we need to just keep our eyes open for that, and I will keep in touch with those developments. But as you can see, they are definitely transitioning to that. And of course, the helm of it is the Vatican hosting all of this, and the Pope is going to be the king or the empire of this whole church movement, and of course ultimately become the first beast. So without repeating too much, I'm just going to be signing off on that one, on this particular update. I will be in touch, keeping of course my finger on the pulse on this as always, and I'll be moving on to the next update for now.